everybody. It's Ryan Miracle with Ruoff Mortgage and Next Level CE. I am here with John Coleheb from
Hello.
the Sam Cooper team. And today, I am very excited to have John on board because in very short order, John has become one of my top agents. And it's been very, very interesting to see the things that he's done to be able to grow so quickly. So I'm going to turn it over to John so he can introduce himself, kind of go into his backstory. Then we'll start answering good questions on how he did what he did here shortly.
Well, hello, my name is John. Thanks for the introduction, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So I've been an agent now for 3 years. Started back in 2019. Kind of had an interesting career path leading up to that. So initially I was a youth pastor. You knew that, right?
It is, but I forget that. It's quite a departure from what you were doing.
Well, wait for the departure.
So, go ahead.
So I was a youth pastor for a year, and then I worked for a bicycle company where I did kind of national sales. Where I was traveling around selling bicycles to bike shops. And then from there, went to a local brewery called North High Brewing Company. And I did that for 3 years, and I really enjoyed that. That's the departure. Yeah.
Yep.
So I went from youth pastor to bikes to beer. And then when I was doing that, I got my license to do real estate part-time in 2019 in November. And just kind of like my license sat there. I didn't really do much with it. And then in 2020, I ended up losing my job at the brewery because obviously all the bars shut down and they didn't need salespeople anymore. So I was like, well, I guess it's go time. So that was in March of 2020. Ended up closing my first transaction in May of 2020. So that was just over a year ago from closing my transaction to where I am now.
Man, that from the Bible to bikes to the brewery, right?
Yeah, to now building. So they're all bees. Yeah.
Well, so what was so I know you said that you had like the COVID shutdown that kind of forced your hand, right? And so what was the thing that kind of forced you to go all in? So what was that conversation like? I mean, Claire probably had a part in that. So what would that conversation look like to go all in?
Yeah. So my fiance, Claire, at the time wasn't my fiance.
Okay.
We got engaged in, I should know this, but either June or July of last year.
She's warming up the couch for you now.
Exactly. Yes. So I don't know if she tuned in. So that was part of the conversation. Obviously in my mind, I was saving up for a ring and for a wedding. So I need to have money coming in.
Okay.
So that was a big part of it internally. And she's been very supportive of kind of the career. It's something you're working and you're available 24/7, as all of you know, as agents and as a lender as well, I'm sure. That was, once March hit, the income was the biggest driving factor because I went from making, fairly decent money at the brewery to $0 being unemployed. I made the decision, not to take unemployment, even though it was available to everyone who got laid off. When that happened, and because I wanted to, I wanted to make it work. So.
I mean, just like with a lot of us, we were all for us, it was March 19th. When our world officially shut down. It was actually Friday the 13th, and my wife has the stigma about Friday the 13th. We were all kind of left scratching our head trying to figure out what the hell do we do next. So that being said, I applaud you for going on. It's a very, very brave decision. So one thing that I think is very different about you, and I've learned very quickly, is your ability to connect with people. So one of the hurdles that a lot of agents have is getting their database to want to communicate with them. So the database might be past customers. It might be the girl that cut your hair. It might be the guy that gets you your coffee. So whatever the situation is, your database is a valuable asset, and yet it's one of the most neglected ones. So I'd be interested to hear why you went so hard into your database. And then we'll follow it up with how you've done such a good job cultivating those relationships so quickly.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And, obviously any sales role, which has been pretty much all my roles, or pastoral role, is all about connecting with people and building relationships. That's something that, I think I recognized very early as something that's very important to me, and that I was decent at, and not doing it for like a means to an end, but doing it genuinely to connect with those people. So I think that's something that just comes naturally to me.
Okay. So you don't have the commission breath, right?
Not that I'm aware of. I've never.
I don't feel that when I talk to them.
Oh,
So you do a good job.
Try not to. But yeah, so that was something that, I tried to, leading up to being in real estate. This was, again, wasn't my intent, but I tried to do my best to be very supportive of my friends and of people I had relationships with. So when I went into real estate, I think that was reciprocated very quickly.
Okay.
And started getting, friends wanting to work with me, and friends, friends of mine referring their friends and family to me because they wanted to support me. So was not expecting that, but was blown away by that when I started, and really enjoyed that.
That's good. So your people that were in your database wanted to help you succeed, which is wonderful. It means that you do a good job cultivating those positive relationships outside of real estate. So that's kind of the why, but let's talk about the how. How, like, give us something that is kind of a foolproof way to build those relationships, because once again, most of our databases, they're completely cold, and we don't do a good enough job reaching out to them. So what is like a how you reach out and cultivate your relationships with your database?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing across the board for all of that is consistency. So whether that's on social media, I know being a millennial, Instagram is huge.
Okay.
And yeah, that's where I think I've made a lot of just reminding people that I'm in real estate and I'm an agent, and that I'm happy to help. I think that's been big, and then just staying consistently. So consistency on social media, consistency on just like showing up. Two things. I'm very passionate. If there's something that I enjoy doing, like I want everyone to enjoy doing that with me. So like one instance would be the Columbus Crew. I'm a big Columbus Crew fan, and I try to go to like every game that's home. And I've gotten a lot of business from fellow Crew fans, and just like I was at the Crew game. I wasn't trying to like shove real estate down their throat, but because I showed up and was enthusiastic about it, I consistently developed those relationships, and like it turned into business once, I don't know. So like there wasn't like an explicit ask.
Right.
But it was just consistently showing up to those things, and consistently being in front of people on social media, and consistently we talk about work when you're with people. So I would tell exciting stories of working with my clients, and I think from telling those stories and from being on social media and from just consistently showing up in those people's lives, like they're like, oh my gosh, like John's like, he's serious about this real estate thing, and he knows what he's talking about. And he's like,
and he's a nice guy.
And he's not a jerk.
Yeah. So
usually.
So there's one thing here that I don't know if you've picked up on, but consistency. So, I mean, right now I'm going through a weight loss regimen, and I hate it already. I'm day 2 and I hate it already.
You look great.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, pumpkin. But that being said, you try to lose weight or you try to get stronger doing one push-up or eating one blueberry. That's not going to do anything for your long-term health. So the consistency thing, it's really great to hear that. And then knowing your audience. So you're active on Instagram. So we'll go over like what you post here in a couple minutes, but and then also finding those contextual moments to where you share something in common with the people that you're talking to is great. You're very easygoing and easy to talk to, so that really reduces that pressure. So, and the other thing that I noticed that you mentioned is, especially for men, when you get to meet someone for the first time, you name, hi, how you doing? How's your day? And then what's obviously the next question that comes after that?
What do you do?
What do you do?
Yeah.
Right. So there's going to be those contact or those connection moments that you have with the people that you're talking to on a regular basis. But the biggest thing is you have to have those conversations often.
Oh, yeah. You can't be a private agent.
No.
Yeah.
No, secret agents don't work.
Or secret agents. Yeah.
Secret agents don't work. So I think one, the consistency. And you've learned that having these conversations is a driver for building your database. And then just it's going to come up in conversation. So you never have to ask people for their business. It's just going to be a natural progression of you building a relationship with them. Yeah. So we actually got a question from Ryan Smith.
What's up,
what
Brian?
is your best lead generator? So we're going to pivot from what we were talking about to answer his question real quick. So what do you think is your biggest lead generator?
So I think I have kind of two big lead generators. The first one obviously being database and referrals from that database.
Yep.
I guess there's kind of in that there's two, both kind of my personal sphere, my friends, my family is a big one, but then also referrals from past clients.
Okay.
And, yeah, so that's kind of once you get that ball rolling, that just keeps, keeps on rolling.
Yeah. I mean, it's pumping hand well.
Yeah, exactly.
So as long as you keep pumping and you don't stop,
right,
it's going to keep feeding you.
Yeah. The best referral source, I always like to say is a good contract. A smooth contract is.
It's a good one.
Anyway, so referrals from friends, my sphere, and referrals from past clients, and then kind of the second pillar there would be prospecting. So for all of, I guess, the second half of 2020 and the first half of 2021, I called every single for sale by owner or FSBO that hit Zillow.
Okay.
Which is a lot of angry phone calls. I think 2020, I tracked it in 2020. I stopped tracking in 2021. I should go back to tracking it. But in 2020, I called like 529, I think it was.
Wow.
FSBOs over 5 months. And I converted 3 of those. So that's what, like 0.8% conversion rate. That's a lot of calls for not a lot of business. But so of those three sales I got, and they were all listings, we closed all 3. One never talked to me again. The transaction was smoothly, but they haven't.
Not a good fit.
Yeah, not a good fit. So 2 of them, both have referred me multiple clients. One of them has referred me, I think, 5 clients now.
Okay.
And this is back in 2020. 5 clients, one of them being my 2 largest sales. So they've moved. So there was my largest listing, and then my largest purchase side was from a FSBO referral from 2020. So
well done.
Yeah. So those are kind of my 2 biggest lead sources. I'm on a team and we have team listings. That's been a pretty good lead source as well.
Okay.
But that is just, they're all online leads, which have its own issues, but it's business nonetheless.
So one of the things that you mentioned, so for your first one, your database, it seems like you rely heavily on referrals.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a distinction here. So Ryan, I know in your question you asked what's your biggest lead generator, but I think we need to make sure that we're looking at referrals and leads differently. So you get leads from your team, and we all know that those don't convert as well as an actual referral. So do you know, and you don't have to divulge too much, but what are those lead sources? Are they Facebook? Are they, are they Zillow? What are they?
Yeah, so they're various sources.
Okay.
Facebook's a big one. Realtor.com, we get some from there.
Okay.
I think we might get Zillow leads. I don't know. So some of them come from just generic from the team website. Which the ones that come from the team website, they know the team, they know the brand, and those are easy conversions. But they come very few and far between. Whereas the ones that come in from either Zillow or Realtor.com from a third party site that are really expensive, but are and if you're the first one to call them, you usually get that lead. But if you don't call them within 2 seconds,
they're gone.
Another 50 agents have already called them. So. And the thing about those 2 is those people, the online leads, they're not connected to people, and there's usually reason for that. And they're usually interesting folks. Some are great people. Like some of my online leads have been very fun clients, and I still stay in touch with them, and they've given me referrals. But some of them are also they're interesting people and require a lot more kind of babysitting. So they're, like I said, they're a whole different beast, but they are, like I said, it's business nonetheless, and we're in the business for people, right? And they're still people. So, but they do require quite a bit more hand holding.
So have you thought about, with the FSBO calls, are you still doing those now?
I am, yes.
Okay. So when you go onto your source to get that information, are you just seeing it online and just dialing straight from there?
Yep. Okay. So it's a lot of work. There's no automating it.
Okay.
I wake up every morning and I log into Zillow, and I'm giving away all my secrets, but you log into Zillow and you go over to the other listing tab,
right?
And you see all of the FSBOs, right? And you can find their number, because obviously the owner themselves is trying to,
Okay.
So the owner themselves are trying to sell it, so you can call them. They've put their number out there. You're not technically soliciting.
No.
And I kind of experiment with different scripts out there. I know Tom Ferry has a good one.
Yeah.
Kevin Ward probably has my favorite one. But the best thing you can do is ask questions and get the owner talking, because as they talk, they start telling what their motivation is. And once you know their motivation, then you can try to
start pushing that button.
push. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but again, 3 out of 500 and something is a lot of work for very little business.
But once again, you are coming at this as a brand new agent, and a lot of new agents. So one of the biggest issues that we have in the industry, mortgage included, is you can get your license, you can go to the test, you can write a contract, and then you can get signed up with whatever brokerage offers you and all the kind of fancy stuff that they offer. But inevitably what they do is they end up pushing you into the deep end of the pool and saying, good luck, kid.
Yeah.
So it's great that you were able to figure that out. And FSBOs right now, there's a lot of sellers out there that think that they can DIY it themselves.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, a lot of them do it successfully.
Really?
And still get a crap ton of money.
Okay.
And the reason is because, the market's, it's super hot right now.
Right.
So they put it out there, they're going to find a buyer. And I usually tell, when I'm talking to them recently, they say, oh, we don't think we need help finding a buyer. And I say, you're right. You'll probably find one. You'll probably get more money than you expect. But my favorite line is, you'll probably get more money than you expect, but you're still leaving money on the table by not marketing it correctly, by not, making sure your equity is protected. And I usually tell them, when I have buyers on FSBOs, what I do, and I beat up owners. Like, we get so much in remedy. We get seller paid closing costs. Like, we get things that aren't in the purchase price, but are still, you're losing equity by being an owner. And that's where I come in to protect your equity. And that 3% you're paying me, you'll make more.
And that's the thing, is it's a net gain because you have someone that's not going to let you get screwed. So I think that that is something that is lost on a lot of sellers who want to do it themselves. Is they're going up against a professional that does this all day. They know all the little tricks and the ways to squeeze a contract to make it work. Now, so as far as your content, so if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 28.
28. Okay, so I'm at 38, so I consider myself to be an elder millennial.
You're still in was it 82? I think is the cutoff here.
82,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
So I'll ring that bell, but I will consider myself an elder millennial. But that being said, so Instagram's not something that I have really focused a ton of attention on. So I'm kind of a beginner when it comes to Instagram. So what are some of the things that you do when you post on Instagram? Because you said that's one of your lead sources or connection points with your database.
Yeah. So,
care if I share before?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Can we share the screen?
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. I feel bad. I just came back from vacation and I was not very active on Instagram. So it's been kind of quiet recently, but a lot of agents will share new listings, and that's, I would say, probably about 50% of my content. So you can kind of see through there. But my favorite thing to do is kind of highlight the stories of my clients. And so I like posting videos of them telling their stories. Can you play one of the videos on there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if the audio will play, but
we'll find out. So don't play that one. I mean, that's me walking through a new listing. So scroll down. Go to that one on the right there. Yeah.
This one? Okay.
So these are my friends. They're from my sphere. Ryan, they actually went to Mount Vernon with us. You probably know Scott and Leah. Once we do the final walkthrough, we just walk outside and we take a quick, 30-second video of them explaining their story. And I almost never prompt them to leave a review for me. I want to say tell your story. Tell what's the Pixar model had a problem.
Yeah. So for once upon a time there was blank. So it would be your couple or whoever you're telling the story about. And then one day blank. And then because of that blank. And then because of that. And then finally blank. So that's the format that Pixar uses. So you use that format when getting your people to talk about themselves?
Yep, exactly. So I ask them to do that. And then through that, almost always, I don't think there's been a single one where they don't say, we've had this and we're really nervous about buying our first house, or really nervous about selling our house and moving to the next one. And we really didn't want to be homeless, or whatever it was. And then throughout that process, they end up, giving a very positive raving review about me, which is, so that's been my favorite piece of content to share. obviously taking a quick photo up front, you know, them celebrating their new house.
Right.
And that's really easy to do as part of like the natural progression of a contract, because right before closing, you do the final walkthrough. So you're at the house
there.
with them,
Right.
and I prompt them. I say, listen, I like to do this photo, this video, and they're almost always, not all of them, but most of them are really excited to do that. And then they end up not only appearing on my feed, but they take my feed and then share it to their friends. And so it's just this, you know, constant reciprocating
That's money.
marketing that is free. Like, it's the best thing about it. So,
Well, I mean, so I think one thing that you're touching on there by using that Pixar model is, okay, so you and I and loan officers, realtors that are watching, we all kind of want to look at ourselves as the hero in our client's story. So they have a problem, and like a parent, we're stepping in to fix it for them. But in actuality, we are our own hero in our individual story, and your clients are really no different. So when they are looking at their story, they are the hero in their own story. They might be stuck with something, so they might need help from what we consider a guide. So that would be the Yoda. That way, if you're a Hunger Games fan, that would be Hey Mitch. So us as professionals, we need to be that guide, helping them along their story, but ultimately they still need to be the hero. So we should not be the Luke Skywalker. So what you did was brilliant, because you're helping them be the hero in their own story. And of course, like John said, if you are in the midst of the walkthrough, is that what it was?
Yeah, final walkthrough.
The walkthrough, and you're sitting there holding the camera, of course they're going to talk about you, but you are not making yourself the center of their story. They are making themselves the center of the story. And of course, they're going to want to reciprocate and include you in a positive light in that story.
Yeah.
So have you ever had anyone tell you no?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have you ever been able to get someone off the fence?
So there's like 3 levels or 4 levels, I should say, of comfortability, right?
Okay.
So like Scott and Leah, the video that we just played, they were like, absolutely, like, share it, tag us, like, we want to share it.
That's awesome.
So that's like the highest level. Then you have people who are like, yeah, like, you can, like, we'll do like a picture and that's fine, but like, we don't feel comfortable on camera, which I understand. I hate being on video. This is nerve-wracking for me, but I enjoy it.
Wait, you're nervous now?
I'm so nervous.
I can't tell.
Appreciate it. Anyway, so that's like kind of like, we'll do a picture, like, tag us, share it. That's fine. Then other people are like, yeah, like, we'll do a picture, but like, don't post it. Like, we don't want it. We don't want our faces online. I get it. And then the bottom one is, you know, no, just absolutely
Flat no.
not. And usually those people say like, no, like, I'm not comfortable with it. I'll write your review though. And it's like, that's not what I'm asking for, but like, they still want to, you know, give a review and help me grow my business. So, yeah, I've never had anyone say absolutely not, like, no, thank you. Yeah, exactly.
So do you prompt them ahead of time, letting them know that this is coming?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So, you know, like I said, the best referral is a smooth contract. So throughout the process, you know, I have every, you know, the same thing you do on your Tuesday updates.
Yep.
I have every process, you know, I have templates set out where I just copy and paste the date, copy and paste the lender, copy and paste the address. And then on the last, and so we outline inspections, we outline remedy, we outline appraisal, we outline the final walkthrough, we outline closing, we outline possession. All, you know, every one of those has a step. And so the final walkthrough, about a week before the final walkthrough, they get an email that says, you know, hey, we're doing the final walkthrough. This is what we're doing, making sure the house didn't burn down. And make sure the house is in good shape too. There's that. And then I say at the final walkthrough, I also like to take a photo and do a video. Here's what I want. If you're comfortable with me posting online, I'd love to share your story. And, you know, probably 9 times out of 10, people say, absolutely, let's do everything.
That's amazing. That's amazing. See, so it's just a simple ask and kind of building them up to that soft yes.
Yeah.
So it's not like, surprise, we're here, whipping out your phone and asking them to spill the beans.
Yeah. And I did that. The first time I did that, it was a friend of mine, and she's very pretty, but this day she did not feel pretty. She didn't prepare for it. She's like, oh, like, no, I can't be online looking like this. And she looked fine, but she was like, no, but can you come back like on move-in day, and I'll make sure I look good enough to be online, which I can't relate to. But anyway, so that after doing that, and after like she was like offended. And
Really?
so yeah, she's like, why would you not like give me a heads up or anything? So
But you learned.
but I learned, and now I always give people like a week's heads up.
That's awesome. So that way they can brush their teeth and
Yeah, brush your
shave.
teeth,
I mean, 'cause
not wear sweatpants.
Well, I mean, you just moved into your spot, right?
Yep.
Your move-in day clothes, you probably had paint and
It was-
holes and
It was crazy time.
sweating. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember move-in day, and they don't probably want to look their best on move-in day. Yeah. Well, good. So one of the hooks to get people to this live stream was how in such short order, and we've gone over a lot of this already, but looking back at it now, after the last 13 months from your first deal to now, so how many deals have you done so far?
Hovering around 70.
70?
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. I mean, that's like top tier agent, because the average right now, at least in Ohio, is 3.375 for the entire year. Transactions.
Okay.
Yeah, well, because once again, there's 30,000 agents. And funny thing is I don't know if you guys have saw the numbers for your peers, but there's 6,000 new agents that were not licensed in 2020. So we have 6,000 more agents in Ohio. So if you had to go back and do anything differently, what would you say that this didn't work and I would skip that?
So I think as far as getting new business, nothing. I would have kept it exactly the same and still be on the team I'm on. I would still call FSBOs. I'd still like really take care of my sphere.
Okay.
I think looking back on it is I would have changed who I worked with. Like I wish looking back at those 70 deals, I wish I would have not worked with clients who were bad news. Right. And like looking back at it, I'm so thankful for those clients. Some of those clients we shared.
Right.
And we got the transaction done. They were happy with us for the most part, or for the whole part, I would say.
Yeah.
But looking back, I wish, those were very valuable learning lessons. And now moving forward, if that like something like that came up again, I would say, hey, something similar like this has happened. This was my experience. Not even saying like, I don't want to work with you, but like, it wasn't necessarily the client was rough, but the type of transaction was rough.
Right.
And so looking back on it, that was experience. And I wish I would have, and that would have raised a red flag. And I would have said, hey, like, I don't think this is a good fit for you. I don't think this is to my client. I don't think this is a good fit for you. Here's why. This is what happened last time.
Right.
Right. So like the shared driveway agreement is what I'm thinking about. And we got it done.
Yeah.
But it caused some issues. So I wish I would have starting the contract saying, hey, like, there's this shared driveway. It's going to cause some issues. If you're ready for those issues, I just want you to be prepared. It could delay closing a few weeks or months, and just prepare them, and they can make the choice at that point. Does that make sense? So so I'd go back and change, potentially not doing some transactions, or being very transparent with the client, saying like, hey, this is going to be rough. Like this could take 6 months, or is that
no, I mean, I like your answer. And the reason I like your answer is because I think that's one of the things that we all kind of fall prey to is we don't want to cause ourselves any more pain or others pain more than necessary. However, the lessons that we learn that we hold on to come from an empty wallet, an empty belly, and a broken heart. So it's from some of my worst transactions that I was able to build our team into what it is now and attract agents like you. So, I mean, filtering out bad clients, being at this mature stage in your and I's, our business is important because we got to protect ourselves because our clients won't protect us. But at the same time, without learning those lessons, we wouldn't be to this point now. Yeah. So I really like your answer.
And I think too, because I know most of the people watching are probably new agents as well, correct?
Yes. Yep.
So I know, Ryan, you've been licensed for a few months now, maybe coming on a year, and I know you got it, man. But anyway, so like wanting to close a deal and close or a couple deals and like being exactly you said, it's an empty wallet and an empty stomach. Like your motivation is to close a deal, just get any deal. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's crazy. It doesn't matter if I get beat up in the process or I'm in potentially dangerous situations. I just want to close the deal, and that's all that matters. I think kind of shifting to that not be the motivation. And you can't do that until you have a couple deals under your belt.
Yeah. So so sticking on filtering clients. So now that you've learned those lessons of who you want to work with and who you don't want to work with, what is a script that you use now to try to filter out some of those people that you're not meant to work with?
Oh man.
Or
I don't know if I have a script. I think it's more of a feel. And I think it's, I don't know. I think I'm still at the point where I don't know if I'd turn away a potential client. Okay. I think and maybe someday it'd be great to have, I don't know, maybe someday to have that much business where you're like, I don't know, I don't have enough time for that. But I think it's more of a feeling. I think it's more of a transaction, and being able to lean on my experience to say that transaction or that house or this situation, isn't the best.
So it's more the transaction in the circumstances, like the shared driveway or like a non-conforming condo or tough negotiation. So it's more the specifics of the transaction that you're.
I think that from a buying side, from like a listing side, similar. When I started, like my first 2 listings, like the owner wanted this is before the market is what it is now.
Okay.
The owner wanted a absurd price, and I wanted the listing. And so we came to a common agreement, was they would give me the listing if we did at this absurd price, and it sat there. Right. And my first 2 listings ever, one expired, bummer. The other one, we put it in contract on the day before it expired, and we ended up selling it. But like, those are both valuable learning experiences. And I've never, again, the market's crazy, so it's not that much to say. I haven't had a listing go more than a couple weeks.
So in that situation, just saying yes to the client, what would you have done differently now?
I would have drawn the line in the sand and said, like, I want to list it for X. Like, let's say the client, this owner, wanted to list it for $250.
Okay.
Right. Without making any upgrades. And I said, well, you really need to, with no upgrades, we listed at $160. If you make this list of upgrades, we might be able to do $200. Right. And like holding firm to that, and like being willing to lose that listing.
Okay.
And not compromise on that, that line in the sand.
Right. Because if you say yes up front, it's going to be a harder no on the back end. Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So
I guess you are filtering.
Yeah,
you are. Give yourself some credit.
Filtering sellers.
Well, a client is a client.
A client's a client.
A client is a client. So, at this point, rate shoppers drive me bananas. So you guys know that I try to build in as much value and help you guys and help the clients as much as I can. So we had 2 choices when we were starting our come up. So 1, reduce our rates as much as possible, or 2, build in as much value as possible. Now, by building in this value, our systems, our processes, streaming like this, cost money. So we decided that we were going to be middle of the road as far as costs are concerned, and then at the same time, just overwhelmed with value. So one of the scripts that I use now I know we have a bunch of agents watching, but one of the scripts that I use, and you guys can use this the same way, because you guys get shocked sometimes too when it comes to why should I pick you over someone who's offering me 1%? So when it comes to loan officers, and you can change this around for an agent, you have 3 options. So option number 1 is you can pick a loan officer who is good. Option number 2 is loan officer that's fast, or option number 3 is a loan officer that's cheap. So as a client, they get to pick 2. And if they pick anything having to do with cheap, I know that I am not their person that they are not my ideal client. So they're not going to appreciate doing things like this and helping them and coaching them and picking up phone calls at 10 o'clock at night, because it's all about the bottom line. So if I do get a client like that, I do refer them to a loan officer who does have lower interest rates. Because at the end, if I have a client that I let get through just to take a deal, they're going to end up wasting my time and going someplace else. And we've seen that a couple of times here in the last couple of months, that I didn't do a good enough job filtering and they wasted my time. So I'm going to get to Robin's question real quick before I go on a tangent. Does pineapple belong on pizza? Well, if you've watched the movie Inside Out, was it the Pixar movie? You ever seen that?
Oh, where they go in people's heads?
Yeah. So there's a scene where they put broccoli on pizza,
Oh,
and
yes.
he says something about first the Hawaiians and now you putting broccoli on pizza.
Yeah.
It was a really funny quote. My wife
It's
and
like
I
now the
were just-
hippies or something like
It
that.
was something out of California. But for me, I've had pineapple pizza. Have you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Hawaiian pizza used to be, when I was in like middle school, was my favorite style of pizza. Not so
Really?
much anymore, but
No, would you do ham on top of it too?
oh yeah, the ham and bacon and there's something else on Hawaiian pizza. Is it-
I don't know. It pairs nicely with the pineapple though.
So,
Yeah, I'm more of a pizza guy, so the more animal I can put on top of it, the better I
there
am.
you go.
Yeah.
Anyways, I do have a follow up question about your script. So I said I don't really have a script. It's more of a feel. I guess I kind of do have a script with
Okay.
sellers saying like, these are my lines in the sand. Like, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Like, you'll have someone else that'll let it sit there, but I don't want to let it sit there on the market. What would you say, especially for buyers? Because I know, especially newer agents, we work primarily with buyers. I think my split's like, gosh, at least 2/3 of my business comes from buyers, 1/3 from
Right.
sellers. What would you say that script should be with an agent, from your experience, agent working with buyers to try to filter out someone who just wants, I guess with buyers, like there's not really any negotiation on rate.
So I mean, so I think for buyers, another script that I've tried to coach my agents on is trying to find intent.
Mhm.
So right now, buyers are a plenty. So if you look at the most recent stats, and you actually helped show the stat to me, I had a
Mhm.
hunch, but you actually proved it to
Mhm.
me that we have more listings now than we've ever had. So and this was as of May.
There have been more new listings.
Yes, year
Yeah.
to date.
So not active listings.
Right. So that's something different. So active listings is a measure of supply and demand. So year to date, as of May,
Mhm.
we had 130 more listings than we had in 2020 and 2019. So
That was like 1,000
Yeah,
more.
it-
It was
it's-
like
it's
it was
a
like
lot.
11. It was like 11,000. It's like mid 11,000s to like mid 12,000s.
right,
And again, this is just to clarify because it's very confusing.
it is.
It's so there's been more new listings that have come on the MLS
year to date.
year to date than there was in
Ever.
2020. And ever, yeah. It was like 11,000, 11,000, 11,000, 12,000.
That's right. So you went all the way back to 2007.
Yes.
So the state of real estate right now is because there was this tidal wave of first-time home buyers that came on. So we had a supply and demand issue.
Mhm.
So that's really what everyone was feeling is there's not enough listings
Mhm.
for the amount of buyers.
Mhm.
So that is waning. Buyer demand is waning, and according to NAR, it's down 4.4% from April to May, and I'm waiting to see May to June stats. But so that thing is starting to ease up. Contracts are becoming a little bit easier. You and I are seeing that too. But for
Sometimes.
your well, yeah. So for your question, as far as a filtering, a filter that you can put on as a buyer's agent is not everyone, but there's a lot of first-time home buyers who have this idea they romanticize about what it would be like to own a home versus rent or get out of mom's basement or whatever. So the filter that you could put on is you got to find out if they are interested or if they have intent.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, put you on the spot here. So when you hear the word interested, when it comes to a home buyer, what does that make you think?
Everyone's interested. Everyone scrolls through Zillow, right?
Right. But that would mean more of like a window shop or tire kicker. Okay.
Or research phase buyer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which they'll come along eventually. But the second part of that is intent. So if you hear the word intent, they are intent on buying a home. What does that mean?
They're going to do it.
They're serious.
They're gonna-
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're going through your scripting through your buyer's consult, or you're getting a referral over, you can have that question built in there and find out if they are a tire kicker or if they come hell or high water, they're going to buy a house this year. So by doing that and filtering out the people who have interest, that's going to leave you with people that are not going to be wasting your time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did that answer your question as far as a good
I was,
script?
yeah.
So did you want me to go a different direction?
No, I was just trying to get some insight. And I guess kind of talking through that, I don't have like a set script
Okay.
because I feel like scripts are weird. And, I don't know. Like I feel like if someone calls me who's telemarketing, I can tell they're on a script. It's like I don't even give them any time. But I think so. Along with intent, I think it's really important to develop or to see what their ability is. Because someone has all the intent in the world, but has no ability, especially right now where like getting an offer accepted without an appraisal gap is nearly impossible. It's changing maybe.
Yeah.
You can do it. It can be done. Or without going from FHA to conventional. FHA buyers are tough to right now, right?
Yeah.
So kind of determining not only their intent, but their ability. And then if they aren't able, like trying to get them to a point where they can, right?
Right.
I know Ryan, you do a really good job with that. Like if someone's not able to, currently able to purchase a house, like I've seen you turn people around in like 3-6 months to be able to purchase a house. And not only are we getting business from that, but we're changing those people's lives.
Yeah.
For the better.
And it's a transaction for us, helps feed our families, but at the same time, it's helping change that family story. And I think that's, before I go to that point on what we do for credit repair, because I think that's what you're alluding to, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Credit repair, or just like advice. Like if someone has mediocre credit, or if someone has, I've seen you give people advice to get their pre-approval in a position to be much stronger than if they're doing it on their own. So not even just credit repair, but kind of in a multitude of ways.
Okay. So there's basically 3 different types of clients out there. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, this is a core concept, and Daniel Saab taught me this. So Daniel, if you're watching, hi. He's NFM's the head of NFM here locally. Okay. So the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we all have different types of these clients, but they all kind of fall in these 3 categories. All right. So the good is someone who can qualify and they listen. So we both had clients that they can qualify, like overly qualified, but they don't listen. They think that you are just a service provider for them, and we need to listen to everything that you say. So those are the people that go out and buy cars, buy boats, move money around, just make our lives hell before closing. The ugly are the people who cannot qualify.
I think you mixed, you smushed together good and bad.
Okay. So so good, just to clarify, good are people who listen and they can qualify.
Yeah. Okay.
So they make your life easy.
Gotcha.
You make their life easy. Everyone's skipping across the finish line. The bad, thank you for catching that, by the way. So the bad are the people who cannot qualify, but they listen. So those are the people who repeatedly don't pay their bills, who spend their down payment money, who like the idea of owning a home, but financially don't behave in a way that is going to get them there. But they're really nice people. And then the ugly are the people who can qualify, but don't listen. So those are the people that, you're happy to take their deal, but the hairy dog only gets hairier the closer to closing you get. So you want to refer off the ugly as fast as you can, because once again, they're going to make your life hell the whole way through. And I've had clients like that. You have pretty much anyone who's watching has had those clients. With the bad, I filter out the bad for you. So you send them over to me and we put them on a credit repair campaign. I tell them how to fix some stuff, but for the most part, they never take the steps to do those things. And then the good, just imagine if you had only good clients that you're working with. They could qualify and they listen. What would that do for your business?
Be awesome.
But it takes identifying those people up front. So I appreciate the kudos on the credit repair thing or the structuring thing. So right now, conventional outside of cash is king.
Yeah.
Just because of the stigmas that come with FHA, right? So
you can look at the data too for that. And I think it's like 20% in Central Ohio, 20% of transactions are cash, like 95 are conventional, and then like 2 and like 3% and 2% for FHA and VA, which is like that is not historical averages. That is I mean, my stats mirror that, but typically it's 15% FHA. Yeah.
So it's been a definite swing, and it's unfortunate because there's those people that are still good people who can qualify, but for whatever reason, FHA is where they got to be. So looking at those clients and trying to find a way to leverage them into a better situation. So switching them to down payment assistance if they don't have the cash, or giving them a couple tips on how to pay off a collection that gets them into a credit score range. So conventional is an option. So, I mean, it's for the people who have like below 620 credit. we always really try to get them up there. So we'll send them a list of things that they need to do to get their scores up, and then it's on them to get that done.
Mhm.
Stats say that only 10% of them actually pull through,
Mhm.
because once again, it's in their nature to have the finances that they do.
Mhm.
But it's also in the nature of a good person to be a good person and an ugly person. I mean, not cosmetically, but as those three clients, good, bad, and ugly, if they are going to make your life hell or not.
Mhm.
Have you heard the parable of the frog and the scorpion?
No. Tell
So
us.
this is actually I picked it up from Chris Doe, who is a graphic designer, and I love watching him. And if you don't know who he is, check out his YouTube channel. It's called The Future. There's actually a lot of similarities between the creative industry, so like graphic designers, videographers, and real estate as well. I learned that over the last couple of months. But the parable between the scorpion and the frog is, okay, so frog is sitting on the bank of a pond. Scorpion walks up to him and says, "Hey, can you help me get across the pond?" And the frog turns to him and says, "No, you're going to sting me and we're both going to drown." And the scorpion turns to him, "Why would I do that? Because if I do that, that means that we're both going to drown." So the frog thinks about it for a second, and then hops on. Then says, "Okay, fine, hop on. I'll get you across, but don't sting me." Halfway across the pond, what happens?
The scorpion sting the frog.
Stings him. Yeah, right. So as they are both drowning, the frog turns to the scorpion and asks, "Why did you do that?" And he goes, "Well, it's in my nature. I'm a scorpion. I'm supposed to sting."
Mhm.
So each of us have our innate natures of being who we are. And rate shoppers, I'm not going to change who they are. Ugly clients, we're not going to change who they are. Good clients, we're not going to change who they are. But it is our job to protect ourselves from the people who are going to cause us to drown halfway across the pond.
Mhm.
Because once again, your clients are not going to protect you. You have to protect you. So putting in those filters is important. I think we got way off of what we were talking about originally. But protect yourself.
Yep.
So if there was one thing that you could double down on, getting back to you, that's why we're here.
Oh yeah.
Talk about you.
Geez.
So
Thanks.
one thing that we could look back on and double down on, looking back over the last 13 months, what is something that you would have done different?
I wish I would have, and still to this day, like needed to focus on this more, is just following up with past clients.
Okay.
And doing it in a value add way.
Okay.
Like I know you recommended HomeBot, which is a great tool to kind of stay in touch with homeowners and shows them their value. It's really fun to kind of play around with it, keep them off of looking at these estimates.
It helps. Yeah.
But also just staying in front of them. And again, it's another consistent reminder that like, hey, like don't forget about me. I'm still here, still doing real estate. But it does add value to them. And so trying to figure out ways to stay in front of past clients to be able to continue getting those referrals besides just asking for referrals, because that's the most awkward phone call. It doesn't, I feel weird about it. I can tell they feel weird about it. And it probably like actually negatively affects like my, their perception of me. Right. But doing something that can stay in front of past clients that adds value, whether that's, I know we were talking before this, doing client parties or something like that to, again, just add value to that person's life and stay in front of them besides just asking for business.
And I think that's the thing is, so getting back to the fact that we're all pushed into the deep end and not taught how to feed ourselves and how to interact with other human beings. It's something that we have to learn the hard way sometimes. So I really appreciate the fact, and the other agents that I work with do this as well, that you never ask for a sale. You're always just a genuine human being, and you're going into a situation asking, how can I help this person, not asking, how can they help me? So I've never seen you with a client have that commission breath. So kudos, man.
Thanks.
I
wonder how we adapt. Like, obviously, if you don't have a sale yet, right? If you're still on 0 or 1, you don't want to keep on calling the one past client. So I'm sure that's what most of our audience is right now, right?
I would
People
assume
who've had somewhere between 0 and 1,
right,
or 0 and 5 sales, right? So I don't know what that would look like. I know for me, the biggest thing starting out before I had that first transaction was being on the team and having team leads that were provided for. Whether it's from online leads or from the website, or just people on the team that were referring out other business, probably the business they didn't want to work with. But having that experience, that was a huge part of getting those first couple sales. I think my first 3 sales were all team leads.
Okay.
And so from there, I was able to get that experience and kind of, then that's when my sphere, my friends and family were like, oh my gosh, okay, John actually knows what he's doing. He has experience. Yeah. And that's what kind of, from there, I think, March I had 3 sales, June I had 5, July, I think I was getting engaged in June. So I had 1 sale in July, and then September I had 12, and like just exploded because I actually had experience. Most of those 12 were referrals. So anyway, so back to like getting your first 5 transactions, right? Having a source that is, whether that's a team or your broker, and I mean, asking them, people who are your supervisors, for business, I think would be a much better ask than asking
general public.
Yeah. So that's from my experience. I don't know if I'd have the volume I do now without those first 3 sales, right?
Yeah. My first deal was from my brother-in-law.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then he ended up doing something down the road, so he was not too far off from that first year of doing another sale with him.
Yeah.
So I mean, we all kind of lean on family and friends, at least from our database when we first get going. To your point. Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those questions: how do you get experience without having experience? Yeah. And stuff. But for the agents who are watching or going to watch us in the replay, just know that if you stick to it and get out of your own head, it's going to happen a lot faster than probably what you think it will. But at the same time, just to make sure that you have proper expectations, your hardest deals are probably going to be some of your first. So you're going to learn some hard lessons along the way, but you're going to end up better off because of it in the end. So as far as what you were looking at, as far as handling the volume, so that is a struggle that a lot of agents have, is they end up with this income roller coaster, and you've been consistent pretty much the whole way. So what do you attribute to having that hockey stick trajectory without having the up and down that a lot of us deal with?
So it's a good question.
Okay. I'm full of them.
Yes. So I think, being able to, all the big things that, tech nerds and entrepreneurs and people say about like time blocking and all that stuff is very valuable.
Okay.
Like when I do my morning FSBO calls, like I'm not doing anything else. Like if you called me at, when I was making those calls, I'd ignore you.
And that's okay.
But, and then same thing, like after that, it's like, all right, like I gotta like maintain my contracts, right?
Okay.
Make sure like you do your Tuesday check-in, which is awesome. If you work with a great lender that does some of the work for you, it's great. So thank you. But I do most of my communication, and most of my clients like texting. So like my updates are, I do email updates, but I pretty much copy and paste those same updates and text it to them. Usually especially if it's a couple in a group text.
Ooh,
don't have solo text
right
with. No, it's you don't want to leave a spouse in the dark.
Yeah, I made that mistake too.
Yep, don't do it. What were we saying? Oh, so having that, those time blocking is really important. I think consistency again, which I know we started off with, is super important, to not kind of be like, oh, I've got like 8 deals in the books, like I can just relax. Like no, like once those 8 deals close, you've got nothing. I think one of the quote that I keep on repeating in my head for at least for 2021 has been, I think it's Ralph Waldo Emerson, said, do the thing, have the power, do not the thing, have not the power.
I like Emerson. I'll have to look that up afterwards.
I got that quote from Tom Ferry quoting Emerson.
Take it where
Tom Ferry's great. Listen to him. Podcasts are really good. But anyway, so that quote, I just keep on repeating it. I'm a big like ultra marathon runner, and so like
that's right.
If you get up and don't run, if you only run 40 miles at a time, you're gonna get hurt. But if you get up and do a 5-mile run, a 10-mile run, you do the thing, you do the run, you have the power to do the the 100-mile race, which sounded for my first one.
Okay.
This morning, actually.
Personal experience.
Yeah, we'll see. So anyway, so same thing's true as in real estate. If you do the thing, you call the FSBOs every day. If you post on Instagram every day, you're going to get consistency. from doing the thing that is going to give you the power
That's awesome.
on a regular basis.
So the consistency is huge. So do you feel overwhelmed in your schedule with having to deal with like Remedy and blow ups? Because we'll have them.
Yeah.
And then, so how do you manage those things with protecting your time blocks?
I think the biggest strain on time for me is showings, right?
Okay.
Especially if it's like, hey, like I want to see this house in the north part of town, and then go down in the south part of town. Then let's go back up to the north end of town. It's like, all right, there goes half my day. Like half my day is gone.
Yeah.
So trying to set expectations for buyers up front, doing the legwork, having a hour-long conversation before we start showings, where I educate them on all of that, make sure that time's used efficiently. Yeah. And then the other, one of my favorite, not my favorite texts, but one of the most necessary texts to have those unexpected blow up moments, whether with Remedy or with, something going on with the delay. Like buyers are never happy, or sellers are never happy with the delay. And so there is going to be a very long, very tearful conversation if there's any delays, from what I found. But having, if it's coming, being able to text and be like, hey, like this is happening. Like I'd love to chat about this and hear you guys' concerns. I'm available for a call like at this time, between like this time. And so putting that, getting ahead of it and getting ahead of the blow up and saying like, hey, this is the time I have. And they're pretty, I've found out most of my clients, if I say like, hey, I'm not available right now, but I'm available, even if I am available, saying like, hey, I'm available between like 1 and 1:30 if you want to have a call in that window. And they're pretty cognizant 9 times out of 10 of that time.
Okay.
If you kind of,
so they block it out on their side.
And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Like I can vent, all I need to vent in a half an hour. And so it takes what would be an hour and a half conversation.
Squeeze it in.
Oh my gosh. I had one client, one of my first deals, we had a delay. It was because of the lender. The lender wasn't Ryan, I promise.
Good to hear.
But no, it was a big bank. So there's a delay of 1 day. Like not ideal, but not the end of the world. And they found out, and I was on the phone with them for 3 hours, and I could not get off of it. So learned the lesson there, and then kind of started doing that, because blowups are fine. And if you try to get out of a blow up conversation, you're just going to make your client even more upset. You're there to, essentially be a punching bag for your client. And so, but trying to set that expectation before the blow up happens, and a very just matter of fact, hey, like I have availability here, call me then. And they're most of the time cognizant of it. So.
Well, in that case, it gives you time to prep, get your ducks in order, and then you come off as more of an absolute professional versus a punching bag or a shoulder to cry on.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it becomes more matter of fact, I would hope.
Yeah.
Because it gives them time to get their questions.
Yeah. Well, that, and I mean, on the professionalism, like I think there's a lot of, because of inexperience and because of just consumer expectations, like there's a lot of unprofessionalism in, like, especially with real estate agents who like don't set that expectation. Like if you flip and it's like, we are a professional. Like, would you call your doctor at 10 o'clock at night and expect them to listen to you for 3 hours?
Yeah, I see.
No. Right. So kind of setting that expectation and I think makes, it doesn't make us cold or not caring, but it heightens our professionalism. And I think in the long run, our clients will be appreciative of that.
Yeah, so. Good fences make good neighbors?
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's something that I'm guilty of, is taking a text message or a phone call too late at night or on the weekend. But we all get to choose. And right now I haven't gotten myself off of that. But I do have a lender that I used to work with in Denver. And he does like 300-400 units every single year. He's got a team, but he does not take a single phone call ever. He returns phone calls, but he doesn't take a call. He doesn't take phone calls on the weekend or on the evenings. So he has his clients, and the clients love him. So he's not doing anything as a detriment, but he has his clients and his prospects trained to know that I return phone calls between here and here. So I'll get to you as soon as I can. If it's an absolute emergency, here's the team phone number where someone on his team is on phone duty. So, I mean, there's a way to do it. I mean, we all get to choose, but that's
so most of my communication's through text.
Okay.
So another thing, and especially new agents who are working 24/7, and even for you, if you want to steal it, But if I get a text where it's like this huge, long, like rant, and it's like, 8:00 at night, and you make the mistake of opening it, which I wish there was a texting app that you could like unread a text, like on your email. But anyways, there might be out there. If it is, let us know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if I do that, I'll text them back and just like, hey, I read this, and I'm gonna address it in the morning. And just like really like let them know that you're there.
Yeah.
And that like it's 8:00 at night. Don't address in the text. Just like, hey, I read this. Like, I'm going to give you a call between these at this time tomorrow morning. And then this is where it changes. I take a screenshot of it and I email it to myself.
Ooh. Yeah, we've all been at that point to where we have a text that we don't want to read because we don't want to forget about it.
Right.
But yeah, that's a good hack. I like it.
Yeah.
So we are up against the hour. So to respect our viewers' time and make sure that we're still letting John do his duty today. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I'm definitely happy. I love working with new agents, and I'm still consider myself a new agent, even though I've done 70 units and 3 years in the business.
Dude, that new agent smell wore off of you a long time ago.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, if there's anything I can do to help grow your business in Columbus or give you advice, I'm happy to sit down over coffee or a beer or whatever you prefer drinking and kind of chat. So.
And I got to say, kudos to John for being able to do something so unique, going in 13 months, going from 0 to 13 million, 70 units. I mean, once again, most agents don't get there in years. But to John's credit, one of the things that I like about John is he's also a teacher. So having your pastoral experience, as you have climbed the ladder, I've seen you turn around and pull other agents up the ladder with you. So God love you, man, for doing that kind of thing.
Appreciate it.
There's not enough of you out there doing that kind of thing to help grow the community and serve. So thank you. I appreciate your time. So for those who are watching, now we're on the replay. Thank you so much for hopefully making it through the entire hour with us. We're going to be doing this on the regular. So the weeks that we do not have continuing education, we're going to be doing this live stream. So love to see you guys back here on the next Tuesday live stream, but we're here to help serve, help you become everyone's favorite agent. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what you've seen here so you can get notified when the next live stream happens. If nothing else, thank you guys. Have a happy Tuesday and go crush it today.